present over here. I hope you all are doing well. So I am Bhumika Singhal, your host for the day. Firstly, let me give you a brief description of the bootcamp. Till now, we are done with HTML and CSS, and today we will be kicking off with our day 3 of JavaScript. And someone has said that JavaScript is the most misunderstood language in the world. Is it true or not? We will find out in the session today. And also, before starting the session, I would request you all during the presentation, if you have any queries, feel free to put them in the chat box. And now I would introduce you to the mentor today who would be taking the session, Khushi Purwar. So today we have with us Khushi Purwar for JavaScript. She's a great tech enthusiast. She's a hardworking coder and full stack web developer, and she's from Amity University, Gwalior. So now I would like Khushi to take the lead and start the session for us.
Okay, thank you, Bhumika. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and excited for day 3 that is scheduled for the JavaScript. May I know in the comment section that who are excited for JavaScript, to learn JavaScript? Till then, I'm going to share my slides. Okay, so all are excited for. Okay, so I'm going to start my presentation. So today we are going to learn the JavaScript, and the points which are going to discuss in this presentation are the introduction, the basic JavaScript, then the variables, data types, and the operators. Third point is the conditional statement, the loops. After that, we are going to discuss the most important part in the JavaScript, that is the DOM. After that, we are going to learn event handling. So starting with the basic of the JavaScript, let me give you a quick glimpse of what you have learned till now. So on day 1, you have learned about the HTML. So I am going to explain with a very easy example. Let's take an example of human. So starting with the human body, first we have designed the skeleton. So basically HTML is the skeleton of a web page. After that, the skeleton is ready. Now we have to give a skin to that skeleton. That comes under the CSS part. Other than the skin, we are giving the weight, color. This all presentation is come under the CSS. After that, the skeleton is ready and skin is also given to that skeleton. Now what is remaining? Now sitting human is not enough. Now that human wants to walk, run, any action wants to do, that comes under the JavaScript part. So you can see the difference between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and these 3 are the most important elements of a web page. So moving next to what is JavaScript? So before moving ahead, I want to ask one question. Does anyone have any idea about any programming language that you have learned or you are currently learning in your college? Okay, so many of you learned about C and C++. Okay, Python. Okay, so someone is there who learned JavaScript. Okay, so no one have learned JavaScript. I think all are having the first day of JavaScript. Okay, so basically JavaScript is a programming language. You have learned on day 1 that HTML is a markup language. Don't be confused with the markup and the programming language. A basic difference between these two comes where the logic comes, it is a programming language. And the JavaScript is not only the programming language, it is also a scripting language. That is the whole code which is written in the script. It's not only compiled, it is interpreted. What does that interpreted means? It is interpretation will be done line by line. And in the compiled, the whole code will be compiled at a time. So the JavaScript is a programming as well as the scripting language that is used to implement some of the complex feature of a web page. You have seen the website is not only contain the static information, it also holds some dynamic information so that the user exist on that website. Later, the JavaScript runs inside the browser, so it is called the client side. But many of you not known the fact that it can be used as the server side also. So the advantage of learning JavaScript is that by learning only one programming language, you can develop the client side as well as the server side. So this is the advantage of learning JavaScript. And the biggest, most common example you have seen of the JavaScript on a web page is the form validation. All of you have filled the form on a some web pages, like contact pages also comes under the form, so that the validation of that forms come under the JavaScript. So this is the basic of the JavaScript. Now before moving ahead with the further slides, let's write our first script. So I have shared my VS Code screen. So this is the basic HTML that you have learned on day 1, and today I'm going to write the script. So for writing the script, there are two ways. First is the you have seen that how you are including the style sheet. You are writing the style tag, and that style tag is included in the head part. But for writing the JavaScript, you are using the script tag, and that script tag will comes in the body section. So the first is the, if I'm writing here the script tag, so whatever is comes before the closing tag of the JavaScript is the before the script tag, that is the JavaScript code. So first of all, I want to say that the HTML that you have learned is basically called the document for the JavaScript. Whatever you will manipulate with the HTML, you will manipulate with the document keyword. So that a document is actually your HTML page that is interpreted as the document. So I have to write this is the page I have opened in the browser, and you have seen the heading that is written as first day of JS. So if you want to write something after first day of JS using the JavaScript, you have to use the document. So document is actually your HTML page. You have seen that you have write doc type. So what does this mean? Document type. So document type is the HTML. So we are interpreting HTML as the document. So if you want to write, if I want to write first day of JS, after that I have to write any line using the JavaScript. You will write using document dot write is a method, and whatever you want to write. So this line will comes after the first day of JS. So you have seen that hello is written using the JavaScript, not using the HTML. So this is one of the way to write JavaScript on the web page. Now comes the second part, like this is the script. Now when script is long, you will not include that script in the HTML file. You want to exclude this script from the HTML, so you will add a external JavaScript file. For that, you also have to use the script tag, but with an attribute that is called the SRC. In this SRC, you will include your script JS file that I have named as script.js, and you will include this, and whatever it is, whatever is, file holds content will be displayed on the web page. So let me write the same content document.write. You will see this line will come after the first day of JS. So this is one of the way to write anything on the web page using JS. So mainly, now coming the next part of the debugging part of the JavaScript, it was also a most important concept in JS, that how we will debug our code. So for debugging, browser gives a important developer tool that is called the console. Here, the console is the part where you can log any error or message. For logging any error or the message, you have to write the console dot log. Log means when we are printing any output to the console part. So this console.log part will come to the console part. This is, you can see the basic JS. It is coming from, we have from the line 4. So these are the two way to write. First is on the web page and second on the console part. So this is the basic script how you will add or you will write on the web page. So moving next, we are going to learn variables. So many of you have learned about the C++ and C or Python. So you basically know about the variables. So variables are the just like the container that holds some value. So here you can see the box. It holds a value that is Bob. And never mind that what is the type of the value. Either it is string, boolean, or number, but it holds a value. So whatever value it is hold is called a variable. So for example, x is equals to Bob. So Bob is a value which is stored in the x, and x is the variable name. So for writing the variables in any programming language, you have learned that C++ or any Java, you have to specify the data type before the variable name. But this is not case with the JavaScript. JavaScript is called the loosely typed programming language. What does loosely typed means? Loosely typed means you don't have to specify the data type. It will automatically detect what value you have stored. But in JavaScript, you have different things that you have to specify a keyword. Either it is let, where, or const. These three variables, one of these three variables should be specified before the variable name. So this is the example for the variable. So this is the variable x. Name of the variable is x. The value is the bob, and it is of type where. Now there are two ways to declare variable, that is where, let, and const. Const is for basically for the constant type of value that you don't want to change throughout the program. So const will be used for that purpose. But where and let doing the same work, but there have many differences between where and let that we will discuss in the advanced part of the JS. So I have write these two value. One is the x that holds the string type of value, and another is the y that holds the numeric type of value. Let me log to the console. You will see that x first it will print the bob, and after that it will print the 34. So this is the string type value and the number type value. So this is the way of writing the variables. Now coming next with the constant part. For declaring any constant, you have to include the const keyword, and after that the variable name and the value. So I write the 56 in the chat. So there is the variable name and 56 is the value, and we are logging that to the console. You will see that 56 also print on the console. Now, if I want to change the value 56 from 56 to 57, it will it will throw an error. You will see that the error is the type error, and it is saying that assignment to constant variable means z is a constant. You cannot change the value after assigning once. So this is about the variables and the constant. I have the So we are going to discuss the difference between where and let in the advanced part, because there are many differences between these. But for now you have learned that there are two types. Two types we can define the variable, where or let. Moving next, we have the some rules for declaring the variables. First is the yes.
Can you please explain what is the difference between let and war?
Actually, it has many differences. If I take time, it will. I am covering. I will cover this let and where in the advanced part. It will
Okay,
be
that's
okay.
fine.
Okay. So next is the rules for naming JavaScript variable. First is the to declare any variable, either start with the letter, underscore or dollar. Never start with the number. And the JavaScript is case sensitive, means if I define the small x to the Bob, it does not mean the capital X also means Bob. So JavaScript is case sensitive. After that, keywords cannot be used as the variable name. What actually keywords mean? There are many reserved words in every programming language, like where, let, const. These are the reserved words in programming language. These words cannot be used as the variables, because if you write let and let is equals to 34, it does not give any meaning to what you are specifying. So never use the reserved word for the variables. Fifth point is optional, because it says that provide a descriptive name for the variable. Here I given the variable name x is equals to Bob. It does not give any meaning, but if I replace it to the first name, so other coders which are going through my code can understand easily what does this first name value will store. So always give the descriptive variable name. Moving next to, we have no, where is used to store a string value. No, this is not the way. um, I can say that you can hold any value with the where also and let also. So you can see that where variables can also store the number. Difference between the let and const is that for let, if I change, if I write y is equals to 34, and after that I have specified y is equals to 56 or 100, it will change the value y to from 34 to 100. You can see that. But if I change the value of constant variable, like z is equals to 56, 666, it will throw an error that assignment to the constant variable. So the constant type variables cannot change the value once it is declared. So moving next, we have some data types in the JavaScript. So they are divided into two categories: primitive data type and the non-primitive data type. Primitive data types are those data types which are pre-built in the programming language, like number. In the JavaScript, there are 5 types: number, string, boolean, undefined, and the null. Don't be confused with the integer, short, int, and that you have learned in the C programming or C++, but they are not included here. In JavaScript, they are different. All the decimal or non-decimal values are included in the number data type. Other than this, there is non-primitive data type. It is categorized into 3 parts: object, array, and function. So today we are going to see only the primitive data type, and in the advanced part, we are going to see the non-primitive data type. So data type for the So this 23 is the type of number. If I change to 23.4, then also the type of this is number. I can show you by specifying the what will be type of x with the type of keyword. Type of keyword will give the data type of that variable. So let's see what will be the data type of this variable. So it is number. If I changed from decimal to non-decimal, then also it comes under the number part. So in JavaScript, either non-decimal comes under the number data type. If I change to the string part, let's check the data type of now of x, that is the string. There is another data type, that is the boolean. It has only 2 values, true or false, binary type 0 1. Now the type of the x will be boolean. And if any variable is not declared, means if I write here y y is not declared and we have not given any value. So let's see the type of y. So it is saying the undefined. It is a special data type included in the JavaScript. You will not see in C++ or any JavaScript, Java. So this is the undefined data type. So basically these three number, string and the Boolean types are majorly used. So after that comes the operator part. So operator is also a basic concept in any language. So here the operators are divided into 6 categories. The first is the arithmetic, relational, logical, assignment, bitwise, and string operators. So let's see a demo of these operators. So arithmetic operators are basically used for the mathematical calculations like sum of two numbers, multiplication of two numbers. We want to find the remainder of two variables. So for that we are using arithmetic operators. So basically in JavaScript there are six operators comes under the arithmetic. They are the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, and exponentiation. Basically, the modulus is to give the remainder and exponentiation is for the power. So first we will see the addition part, that is x plus y. So you all know that 12 plus 8 will be 20. So this is the addition operator, comes under the arithmetic operator part. After that comes the subtraction. So you will see the value. So for why it is coming onto the web page, because I have read the document dot right. So the value will come on the web page. After comes the after subtraction comes multiplication. So 12 into 8, it will be the 96. Similarly, the division part, it will be floating value. But if we want to get the remainder of, then we will use the modulus operator. So you can see that when dividing 12 by 8, it will give the 4 as the remainder. After that exponentiation, if I want to 2 to the power 3, so it will be give 8. So this is for power. So these 6 are the operator which comes under the arithmetic part. After comes the relational operators. They are basically used to check the condition. If the They are basically used to check the value if it is greater than or less than, or either it is equal to. So you have seen equal to, not equal to, greater than or equal to, less than, and less than equals to in every programming language. But there is another type of relational operator in JS, that is the strict equal to and strict not equals to. So so if I am comparing the age equals to 10, so you all know that it will give the true. See on the console part. But if we specify the strict operators, let's see what change will happen if we specify the strict operator. As you can see, I have used the 10 as the value in the variable a, that is the number type, and I am comparing with the data type of string. So it is the equal operator. So can someone give the answer whether it is true or false? Let me repeat my question. I have used the equal to operator. Okay, so When equal to operator is used, only the value is checked, not the data type. So the value is 10 and I am comparing with the 10. So it will give the true. So you have seen the true. But if I specify the strict operator, that is the triple equal to, now it will compare the value as well as the data type. So 10 is the number type and 10 is the string type. So it will give false. So I think equal to and strict equal to difference is clear to all of you. Okay, so remaining is the like A is less than 56. So A is the 10 and it is comparing with the 56. So 10 is less than 56. It will give true. A is greater than 56. It will give false. So these are the basic relational operators which are used to check whether the value is greater, less or equal. So after that we have the assignment operators. They are also called the shorthand operators. Why they are called the shorthand operators? Because if I want to write A is equals to A plus 1, so you will write this. But by assignment operators, you can simplify it by specifying this is the syntax of the addition assignment operator. This is equals to the A is equals to A plus 1. So this is the syntax of the assignment operator, and this is normally we are writing A is equals to A plus 1. So they are called, these are called the assignment operator. Those comes under the arithmetic as similar, like addition, subtraction, multiplication assignment, division assignment, modulus assignment, and exponentiation assignment. And one is extra, that is the assignment. We are assigning any value to any variable that we have seen in the first part. So here r plus equals to 3 is equals to the r is equals to r plus 3. So the output will be 26. 23 plus 3 is equals to 26. So this is all about the assignment operator. And after that, logical operators. These operators are used to check the two conditions. Like if I want to check whether A is greater than 56 or and A is less than 30. So these are the two conditions which I have to check at a time. So for that we have to use the logical operators. Basically, these logical operators comes under when conditional statements are used, because we want to check two conditions, either first one is true or second one is true. So these logical operators will better understand when I will explain the conditional statement, and that is the next part. So this is all about the operators. After next, that is the conditional statements. So there are three types of conditional statements, that is the if statement, if else statement, and if else if statement. So starting with the if statement, the basic syntax is if, and in the bracket we will specify the condition, like A is less than 10, or equals to a strict operator, we are comparing age equals to 10, or any condition we can specify, or we can specify single condition or multiple condition. For specifying the multiple condition, you have to use the logical operators, and for single we will specify the relational operators. So if I have given a question to you that whether the entered user number is the positive or negative. If it is positive, you have to print the yes, it is a positive number, and if it is not, then you have to print the negative number. So I'm going to write a code for that. So I have specified a variable w, and if I want to check that is greater than 0. So is greater than 0 means it will be positive. So this is the syntax of the if statement, specifying a condition in the bracket of if, and after the curly bracket we are specifying the statement whatever we have to execute. So check that if 12 is greater than 0, it will give the positive. So we can check the condition with the if statement. Then what is the need of if else statement? Now you can see that W is greater than 0, you have specified the positive. But if W is less than 0, then what will print? So in the if part, only the condition is true, then the statement will print. But if condition is false, nothing will be print. So the if else statement comes into the existence. So if else statement have the similar syntax like if, and in the bracket we will specify the condition. In the curly bracket we will specify our statements, and we will specify another keyword, that is the s. If part will if the condition is true, the true part will be specified in the if part, and false part will be in the else part. So if I copy this the same code and add a s, and if I, so minus 12 is greater than 0, so now it will print the negative. But initial, if I does not specify this else, it will not print anything. It is simple. So to remove that limitation, we are using the else part also. So after that, the third conditional statement is the if else statement. If we want to check multiple conditions, then this if else statement comes. Like this is the same example, positive or negative. Now we have to categorize into three categories. Like if it is greater than 0, then it will be positive. If it is less than 0, it will be negative. If it is equals to 0, print that the number is 0. So So if it is greater than 0, it will be positive. If it is less than 0, it will be negative. And if it both the conditions is like 0, the values value of the W is 0, then it will be print 0. So when we want to specify multiple conditions, then we are using the this if else if statement. So these are the three types of conditional statement: if statement, if else statement, and the if else if statement. The syntax is very similar. First we have to write the if part, then we have to write the else if part, and then we have to write the else part. So this is all about the conditional statement, and you have used the relational operators while using the conditional statement. After that, the looping part. So whenever you want to execute a particular task multiple times, like you have to print the numbers from 1 to 10, so the work is just simple. Then one is incremented to the previous value, like one is console to the log, and then you have to print the 2, that is plus 1 is incremented to the previous value. So the same work is repeated again and again. So you have to for that you have to use the looping part. So there are three types of loop: for loop, while loop, and the do while loop. The syntax for the for loop is the shortcut key to remember which part will comes first is the ICU, that is I stand for the initialization, C for the condition, U for the updation part. So if you want to print the number from 1 to 5, you will specify the condition. So it will print the number from 0 to 4 because when it will comes to the 5 is less than 5, and the condition will false, and it will be moving out towards the loop. So you will see the I is equal to 0, so I 0 will print, then 1 print, then 2, 3, and then 4. When it comes to the 5, it checks the condition 5 is less than 5, so it will be false. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the syntax of the for loop, and it is how we use the for loop. The same we can use with the while loop. In the while loop, for loop, what we are writing in the bracket, first the initialization part, next is the condition, and the last one is the updation. All the three things are written in one bracket, but in the while loop, first we have to write the initialization. In the bracket, only the condition is specified, and in the curly bracket, after the whatever we want to update, the code will be written, and after that the value will be incremented, like I plus plus or minus minus, or we have to multiply by 2. This all comes under the updation part, like I value must be incremented by which value. So writing the same program, printing the numbers from 0 to 4. Now it will print I is equals to 0. Now we have to increment that value, otherwise it will comes into the 0 0 0 0. It will goes to the infinite loop. So this is the working of the while loop, similar to the for loop, but there is another way to write the same code with the while loop. And these two loops, for loop and the while loop, are called the entry control loop, because the condition is checked at the entry point. First the initialization, and then the condition is checked. After that is goes to the statement part. And similarly with the condition while loop, first the initialization, then condition, and then it goes to the code part. But in do while loop, it is called the exit control loop, because the condition is checked at the end of the loop. First the statement will print, and then the condition will check. So in writing the code with the help of do while loop, the code will be run once every time, but not in the case for the for and while loop. So I is equals to 0, it is only. And here we will write the part. And here we will write the condition after the curly bracket. So this is the way of writing the do while loop. So these are the three types of loop: for loop, while loop, and the do while loop. So this is all the data type, variables, and the operator parts. Coming next to the this conditional statement and the loops already covered. Coming to the most important part of the JavaScript, that is the DOM, and which specify the document object model. So I have specified that document is only the HTML part which you are writing. So basically the DOM is used to connect our web page to the script part. That is, I have shown you that while writing the JavaScript, and if anything you have to print on the web page, you have to specify that document word. So basically you have to connect the web page to the script using the DOM part. Now if you here it is web page, it is written that the first day of the JavaScript. So let me share the second HTML file. So this is the second HTML file for the DOM part. So you have seen that there are the four paragraphs which are written: first paragraph, second, and JavaScript setting style demo. So if I want to change the first paragraph to the something as basic JavaScript session, so how we will change with the help of JavaScript? That is due to the DOM part. We can change the inner HTML due to the DOM part. So starting with the first one, that how we will select any element using the DOM part. There are different. Okay, so first I will show you what actually DOM means. So you have seen a simple basic HTML structure like HTML. In the HTML you have include the head, and in the head you have include the meta tags and the title tag. After that the body tag is included, and in the body tag there are two headings, h1 and the h2. Now if I want to represent this HTML into a DOM, now how it will look? So it will look like DOM tree. So first is the document, it can root element. After that the two parts, that is the head and body, and head contains the meta and title, and the bodies contains the h1 and h2. If I compare this document to the family tree, consider it as your uh, this stage, that is HTML part, as your grandfather or the grandmother stage. Then head and body are the if I say that they are the siblings, and consider head as the parents, and you and brother and sister, that is the meta and title, the siblings. And if I compare with the h1 and h2 for the meta and title, they will be the cousins. So you can compare this DOM tree with your family tree. So this is the basic DOM explanation. Now we will see how we will manipulate the HTML part using the JavaScript with the help of DOM. So for selecting the elements in the document, we have different methods like get element by ID. So you have learned about the ID in the first day. ID attribute is used for specifying the class attribute used, and different type of tags. And fourth is the query selector, and fifth is the query selector all. So let's see what all these, how we will select the element. So first I will show you how we will select the element using the ID. So this is the first para, and I will specify the ID, that is the message. So if I want to select this para using the DOM part, so I will write the script document dot, here is the ID is the message, so I will specify the document dot get element by ID, and the ID is the message. And if I print what actually P holds, so I will show you. So you can see that the P is the first para, which is let me comment out this. So you can see that there are two statements, like first paragraph and the JavaScript setting is style demo, and I have selected the first para using the DOM part because it has the ID message, and I have selected that part. So if you have already known that ID should be unique, so you cannot specify the same ID to two different elements. So this is how we are selecting our element with the help of get element by ID. Now similarly we have the class name. If the paragraph having the different paragraph having the class with the same class name, that is the message. Now if I am going to select this with the help of class name get element by class name, now the paragraphs are selected using the class name, that is the message, and the message class name of message is specified to three different paragraphs. So the P will hold three different paragraphs, collection of three. You can say that it will be an array, it will hold three paragraph, P dot message, P dot message, P dot message, because all the classes which are having the message are selected due to the get element by class name. Now if I have to select any element by the tag, so it is due to the tag by the tag name. So get elements by the tag name. So
Khushi?
yes.
Khushi, is it possible if you could zoom a bit? I think it's not visible to some people.
Okay. Is it fine, or should I do more?
Yes, it is fine now.
Okay. So if now I am selecting the element by the tag name, that is the P. This also specify the array because the P element, there are total 3 P in the HTML part. So it will give the array of 3. So it is due to the 4 because I have not commented the last P. So now you will see that only the 3 P are in the HTML, and by the P tag name, the array of 3 which holds the 3 paragraphs. So this is by the tag name. We are selecting our element. Next we have the query selector. So what the query selector is, that query selector having the syntax like query selector, and we are specifying any selector, writing any selector in the bracket. So you have learned in the CSS different type of selector like ID selector, class selector. So we will specify those selector in the query selector. So first is the, so I will comment out this. So this is the query selector example. If I want to select all the elements in the HTML part, we will write the query selector star. It is the universal selector which selects all the elements. Next, we have the type selector. If we want to select any element by the tag name, that is h1, if I comment out this h, so you will see that basic JavaScript will show in the JavaScript, and if I print the value of p, you will see the h1. So we have selected the h1 of due to the query selector. After the tag selector, it comes the, or the type selector comes the class selector. For the class selector, you have to specify the class with the dot, because the class is generally specified with the dot, and for the ID, you have to specify the hash symbol. But in the query, you have seen that when we are selecting the element by the get element by class, the array of 3 is printing. But if I select the same thing with the help of query selector, not all the class will be printed. Only the first element which having the class message will get logged to the console. So these are the 3 P element paragraphs that are having the message as the class name. So you have we have seen that in the get element by the class name, array of 3 is coming, but in the query selector only the single P element will come, because the query selector will give the first element which having the class of message. But if we specify this query selector all, it will select all the elements which are having a class of message. So we can see the array of 3 because it is query selector all. So this is all about the selectors: universal selector, type selector, class selector, and the ID selector. For the ID, you have to specify the hash symbol. Next is the, if I want to create any element, like this is the uh, already written in the HTML part. Now I have to create an element using the JavaScript, and I have to append that element in the HTML part. How we will do that? So create an element. So I will comment out all these things. Coming to the create element part. So for creating an element, we have the create element method, and in the create element method, we will specify the tag name. So we are making a div element. After that, inside the div element, we are adding a p element. So it will look like this. Div, and inside div dot inner HTML. Inner HTML is the property, is one of the property which is used to change the content inside the HTML div part or HTML or any HTML tag. So I am going to create a P element. So first I have created a div element using the create element. Then inside the div, this is called the inner HTML of div because it is the inner part of the div. So inner HTML is created as the create element example. So this will create, and after that I am appending this whole div to the body. That is after here you will see the element will be created and it will print the create element example. So this is the inner HTML is added and it is appended to the div, and I'm going to print the div. So some so this is the div, and you have seen that the create element example is printed on the web page, and I have logged the div, and you have seen that actually it has many properties by default. We cannot check all the properties at a point, so we have specified the inner HTML as the p is the paragraph tag, and specify the content, and the inner text which is the content, which is the create element example. So this is how we are going to create an element using the DOM. So if I create a div, now I have to add a ID to this div. So for adding the ID, we can simply div.id, and ID will be basic. Now if I check what will the div, so you can see that hash and the basic. So this is due to the 51 line number. For the 51, we have not specified any ID, but at the 54, we have the add ID, and by the line 55, you can see that the basic attached to the div element. This is the ID. Similarly, if I want to add a class to the div, we can use the div.class created class, and now you will see that created class is also attached to it, and class is created as the create class name. So this is all about how to create an element. After that, there are three important properties which are going to be confused. That is the text content, inner HTML, and inner text. So I'm going to explain with the one example. First, we are going to see the inner text content. So commenting out this. And this is the text content. For example, I have written the div with the ID node, and in the div a simple statement is there, and another tag which is of the span tag, and in the span tag I have written another content. So let's see if I use the text content property. First we have select the element by the ID, and we are going to note dot text content. Text content is the property. Let's see what actually text content will print. So you can see that text content is going to print the JavaScript text content demo and the span text. So you can see that it is going to print the content whatever it is written inside the div. So first content is this, and second content is this. So by text content you are going to see the content which is inside any tag. But if I specify the inner text, inner text will also see the CSS which is attached to the element. So if I see the same example and I have specified a style to the span tag, that is display none. So you know that if I split the display none, that this span will hidden text will be not printed to the HTML page. And by the inner text content, we have seen the JavaScript text content demo and the span text. But with the inner text, if any CSS is written, CSS will be considered. So inner text will only give the JavaScript text content demo. So JavaScript text content demo. because the CSS is considered and CSS display none, so hidden text will be hidden. After comes the inner HTML. If I want to see the JavaScript tag and with the tag span is also printed, so for that inner HTML property is used. So if I change this inner text to the inner HTML, so you can see that tag is also presenting with the content. So if you want to use that, if you want to print the tag, you can use the inner HTML, and if you want that CSS also exist, use the inner text, and if you want only the content, whatever the CSS is there, use the text content property. So these are the three property which are basically used. Now if I created an element, now I have to use select that element and I have to change the style of that element. So we have that style property as well. So I have selected the P with the query selector and I have specified the ID. So I write the hash symbol and the ID is the content. Now I have to change the, it is there, just comment the previous one. So on the web page, you see only one line, that is the JavaScript setting style demo, and I have to change the color of this paragraph using the DOM. So I will write the p style dot color is equals to red, and it will okay, p is already declared. So I think I have not comment out. I have comment all the things. Now you can see the JavaScript setting style demo is in the red. Now if I can add another property like a font weight, so you can see the boldness of the text. So this is how you are going to change the style of any element which is created using the DOM. So this is the basic which is included in the DOM. First is how to select an element. For selecting an element, we have get element by tag name, get element by ID, query selector all, and the by class name. Query selector includes various type of selector which are in the CSS, that is the universal selector, type selector, class selector, and ID selector. Then we have seen that how to create an element using DOM, how to add that element to the web page. After that, we have seen how to add an ID to the created element, class as well. Then see the three important properties in the DOM, that is the text content, inner HTML, inner text. And after that, if an element is created or already exists, how to change the style of that element. So this is all about the DOM part. So this is inner text, how to update any element content and how to change the inline CSS. After that comes the event handling part. This is the last part of today's session. So I am going to cover it quickly. So event handling. So what does event means? Whenever user wants to manipulate anything on the web page, then event is occurred. And to handle that event, the process called the event handling. And in the JavaScript or in any programming language, that event handling is done by the event handlers. Basically what the event handlers mean, you have seen a basic example like whenever you are clicking on a button, so that is called the event. You click, that is called the click event. So this comes under the event handling part. So if you want to add any event in your web page, there are three methods. Like in the HTML, you can include with the, this is the element, this is the tag name, then event name. Basic and a simple event, you can see the click event. You all have seen that whenever you click on the any web page button, something happens, whatever the task is written behind that event, so that event occurs and you have to specify the code. Basically this is the function, and about the function in JS we are going to learn in the advanced part. Second method is to write the event handler is using the DOM part. First we will select that element, then we will add the event part, and then we write the function. And the most and the used event handler syntax is the add event listener. In this add event listener, you have to specify the event, and in the second argument, you have to specify the function, what you want to do by that event. So let me show you how you will write events. So this is the basic HTML part. Okay, so first I will show you how you can write the inline event handlers. So this is the first button is there, and the button content is to click to know the time, and I have specified one P which is having the ID of demo. Nothing content is there. So you can see that the submit button is due to the down paragraph. So you can see only the one button is there, click to know the time. So I have specified an event, that is the on click event. Whenever I click on this event, on this button, event will be occurred. And what that event will do, it will select an element by ID having the ID demo, means this paragraph will be selected, and dot inner HTML means this content. Inside this piece, something will happen. What will happen, it will call the date method. So date method will be give you the today's date along with the time. So if I write click on this know the time, so you can see that I have clicked, you have seen that button is clicking. So this is how we can write the inline event handlers. Here on click is the event. The same thing with you can write with the traditional method, that is the selecting an element using DOM and then specifying the event name. So if I comment out this and this, first I am selecting, I have write the script here only because it's a small code. So first I am selecting by the ID is the BTN rate, and I'm selecting BTN. You can see that submit is showing on the screen. And if I write the traditional DOM event handler, that is the BTN is selected. BTN, what does BTN holds? BTN holds this button, only this button. And after that, I specify the event name, that is the on click. And after on click, I have to specify the function. You can see the code here. First element is selected. After that, event is added, and after that, function is added. So I have written a simple function, that is console.log. Second method button is click, simple console is going on. So if I click anything, you can see the second numbering is done. So I click 3 times, 4 times. So this is how the traditional method of writing the event handler. After that comes the most used syntax of the writing the event handler, that is using the add event listener. You will see this most. First you have to write the event name, that is the click, and after you have to write the function. So this is the event, and you have to specify the add event listener method. First argument will be the event, second argument will be the function name. So this is how button dot add event listener. Third method, console will be logging. So third method button is click. So this is how we are going to write the event handlers using the add event listeners. So these are the three types which how by which we can add event handlers in our website. So there are many event handlers for different types like form, keyboard, like keyboard for key press, key up, key down, for the mouse, mouse over, mouse out. So these are the different types. So I would suggest you all to try these all event attributes. So you will learn how the event handling is done in the web page. So thank you from my side. I hope you all get a basic idea of the JavaScript today.
Thank you, Khushi. Thank you for the wonderful session today. Now, I think since we have very few less time left, let's start with the questions. Guys, please put your questions in the chat box. Khushi will be taking them. Khushi, can you just scroll above? There are some questions as well.
Okay, just Okay, so there is the get element repeat. So there is the get element by
Your screen
ID.
is not visible, I guess.
Okay, so this is the get element part. There are different types of by which we can select the element in the document. If you have to select an element by the ID, you can use the get element by ID. If you want to select an element by class name, you can use this method, get element by class name. If you want to simply select any element using the element text, uh, HTML text, you can specify the get element by the tag name. And if you don't want to just to uh, reduce your work, you can simply use the query selector and specify whatever it is. If it is ID, you can use the hash symbol and the ID name. And if it is the class, you can use the dot and class, what will be the class name, and simply specify the tag. So this is the select elements in the document.
Khushi, Aman is also asking a question that it is case sensitive or not. Please scroll above.
Okay, so no, I think you will get the same output. You can check and you can console it to the, you can log it to the console and you will get the output whether it is case sensitive or not.
Side by side, I would request Chelsea to share her screen for the quiz.
Yes, I would be sharing my screen.
Is there any doubt?
Khushi, Dhruti has asked that why do you declare variable only in let and not in where?
Actually, after the version 6, all are using the let because it has many advantages over the where. You will learn this in the advanced part. There are many differences between where and let.
Aman has asked that can you please explain DOM again?
Okay, so in simple words, if you want to change the any element which is already included using the HTML, so you can use the DOM. Here it comes the DOM part. It is connecting your web page through your scripts.
Are there any more questions, guys? Please put them if you have any doubts. Else, we will be starting with the quiz. Chelsea, your screen is not visible.
Have you make me the host or not, Bhumika?
Yes, yes, you are the host. So guys, you can start joining in. This is the code for the quiz. Chelsea, also please add this link in the chat box.
We can start the quiz now. Mm, Last
O-
10 seconds if anyone has any question or wants some time to join the quiz. Can type the chat. Okay, 41. Chelsea, yes, we can start, I guess. Just a
Okay, all the best, guys. Okay, so here we have the leaderboard. Can you scroll above, Chelsea? A little bit more
I'm
above.
sharing the screen, by the way.
Gurtaran, if you are sharing your screen, I think Chelsea can unshare then.
Okay, Chelsea is also sharing. Okay, I'm unsharing. Just a second.
Okay. Chelsea, please scroll a bit above so that we can see how many students have participated in the quiz. Okay, so 59 students have participated till now, and Gurtaran is on first. Okay, now Manleen is on first. Congrats, Manleen. And Gurtaran is on second, and Gaurav is on third. Congrats, guys. Leaderboard is changing continuously. Well done, guys.
Many people are joining from different IDs because in the meet in the session itself there are just 40 participants and in the quiz there are 65.
Yes.
So okay, Chelsea is not here, but the quiz is over. Still, if anyone has any sort of doubt for the JavaScript or the CSS speaker, you can simply ask or type in the chat itself. Rest, if anyone wants to leave, the session is officially over. You can leave. If anyone has any query, can.
I would have to give an info that guys, as we are done with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I would request that you start working on your projects so that you can continue that as a challenge project on day 7. And it would be preferable if you start a project on a web game. So, guys, now we would be signing off for today's session. I hope you take away a lot of learning from today's session. We will be meeting tomorrow at the same time. And thank you so much for your active participation throughout this session. Thank you, guys.